Hello, welcome to another episode of A Few Minutes with Marvin. I inspire those who aspire to make positive changes in their lives. And today is June 28th, 2023, which means it's my third year anniversary of practicing the Wim Hof breathing technique and cold exposure training. And what a ride it's been. Now, I can't say that I've done it every day for 3 years, but I can say I've probably maybe done it, or let's say maybe I didn't do it in the last 3 years, maybe 10 times. This past year, I think twice I missed doing the Wim Hof breathing technique on one day, or I skipped a consecutive day. And that's not a bragging thing, and it's not necessary. First thing I want to say is that it's not necessary for you to do the Wim Hof breathing technique every day, and it's really not necessary for you to do the cold training every day. But this is what doing them practically every day, 95 to 99% of the 3 years, has done for me. Now, let me just go back a little bit. When I first started the breathing technique, I was really excited about it, and I did it, every day, and I started it during the pandemic, and it really helped me. I was already on my weight loss journey. I was really on my spiritual path, just really digging deep into it and embracing it. And it really just came in at the perfect time. It was right in alignment with what I needed, right? So during the pandemic, I lost 30 pounds. I had lost 20 pounds prior to the pandemic. So is it all the Wim Hof technique in the cold exposure training? No, of course it's not. I had to put in some work. I had to change my diet. I had to stop with the alcohol and the meats and the bad foods. Especially fried foods, processed foods, fast foods. I really cut all that out, and it made an immediate difference in my physique, my mental health, my physical health. Now, what the Wim Hof breathing technique did, it really gave me a lot of confidence, right? Because doing it takes you out of your comfort zone, because you do those very heavy inhalations and exhalations, and you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, which alarms your body to say there's something wrong. So to do that intentionally takes some courage in itself. But I did it, and I got a lot of health benefits from it immediately. I was not allergic to dogs or cats anymore. And that was a combination of diet change, but this breathing technique it started activating my immune system and building the defenses up, especially in a time when we needed it the most, right, during COVID. So it gave me the confidence to just walk my walk and not worry about whatever was being projected out there. It doesn't matter. I wanted to be out in nature, mask-free, and I did. And I didn't worry about getting sick because I was doing the things that were taking care of my immune system. The Wim Hof breathing was a huge part of that. Wim Hof cold baths, cold training, huge. And it took me a while to get into it, right? I had to start like everybody else. You start off, taking your normal shower and ending with cold. And then you start with cold and end with hot, right? Until you get a balance. Until you're just doing it just full cold. And even then, you're having to do the Wim Hof haka movements to get yourself, riled up, to get your endorphins going, right? And get you hyped up to get into that cold shower. So it took me about 8 months before I could just walk into the shower without wincing, without taking a deep breath, knowing that it was going to be cold. So that's what the Wim Hof did for me. In addition to that, you've seen other videos that I've posted on my channel. There's quite a few of my progression with it. channel, there's quite a few, of my progression with it and what it did for me physically. Physically, I used to be a gym rat, at the gym 6-7 days a week. During COVID, I'd stopped all that, and once I started my Wim Hof technique, I rarely went to the gym. And in the last 2 years, I've not been to a gym. Over 2 years now. Have not been to a gym. And I can honestly say that I am stronger physically than I've ever been. Ever. Because going to the gym is great, but you're out of balance, right? It's all about that balance. It's not just about lifting the weights and running and doing that. You have to eat the right foods. You have to get the right rest. You got to think the right thoughts. That puts you all into balance. And you say, how did the Wim Hof practice do that? Well, have you watched Wim Hof? It wasn't just the breathing practices and the techniques. I also watched him speaking and him being interviewed by other people and him teaching other people, right? There's some videos that people say, I spent, a week with Wim Hof, right? Look at those things. Those are documentaries of the man. And again, it's not about the man. It's about that soul. His soul emanated brightly for me, right? And how he just walks in his convictions. But he also is a nurturer and helps you through it and helps you understand why it's so important. So that's a part of this experience that I've come to realize. It's not just about doing the breathing every day techniques. It's not just about doing the cold baths every day and walking around in shorts in the winter, which I do. And I don't own a coat. I have one in my truck because I do a lot of traveling. So do I want to get caught in a blizzard, minus 5 degrees? No. This body can still suffer hypothermia and things like that. And I did, in fact, have frostbite 1 year. In the end of 2021 in Colorado, I gave myself frostbite because I was walking around barefoot in minus 5 degree weather. So, but it was an experience, right? And did I heal myself? Yes. I didn't go to a doctor. That's what the Wim Hof practices did for me. But did it heal right away? No. Why? Because there was still something out of balance. So this 3-year realization is that it's part of a whole, right, for me. The breathing techniques, the cold training, is part of my good eating habits, my good thinking habits, my good sleeping habits, right? And my my confidence and my self-awareness, right? That the only thing you can control in your life is you and this vehicle. And how do you do that? By doing the right things for this vehicle, right? This body. It needs to be tuned, it needs to be fueled, it needs to be oiled, it needs to be loved, right? Washed, bathed. The more you do those things with intention and love, giving this body the respect that it deserves and needs for you to continue to go on, that's all this is all about. And it's mind, body, soul, right? It's not just this physical body. You have to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, creatively, financially. All those things together. When you create a balance, a harmonious balance, it brings you nothing but peace. And all of these things are all part of one whole. But if I had not started my Wim Hof practice, I wouldn't be whole and complete right now. I can honestly say that. It really kept me focused. It really kept me mindful of my body, right? I knew I did not want to get sick because I don't put any over-the-counter medications, any prescribed medications. I don't put any of that into my body anymore. And this is helping. Wim Hof breathing technique and the cold exposure training has helped me stave off anything and everything. Recently I had a tooth infection, right? And that's because I'm releasing toxins in my body that were stored in the fat tissues. Now they have nowhere to hide, so they have to come back out, and they manifest in infection. But since I do my cold training and my breathing techniques, I healed that. Did it take a few days? Yes. It still had the remnants of it. Did I get swelling? Yes, I got swelling. Did I feel pain? Yes, I felt pain. Was there fever? Probably. I don't recall there being fever, but there were times where I was in pain. And there's remedies, home remedies, to taking care of that pain. If you're on a holistic path like I am, I chewed on organic cloves. I put organic turmeric in my mouth, and there's a lot of other different things that you can do. But these are all things that keep you in balance. But the really good thing for me, staying consistent with my Wim Hof breathing technique and the cold training, is that it's keeping my body in alignment to receive what we in the spiritual community look at as DNA upgrades, molecular, structural, cellular, and atomic upgrades that this body is doing, whether you believe it is or not. These bodies are ever changing, ever evolving. We are meant to do that. But if we're putting in the wrong things, then our bodies can't do it, because it can't handle elevated DNA. It can't handle elevated molecules and cells, white blood cells, and atoms, right, that want to continue to grow. It's evolution. We can't stop evolution. It's being suppressed by the foods and the toxins and the frequencies that are all around us. But if you keep on your track, be mindful of what you're doing to your body, how you're treating your body, what you're putting into your body, and what you're thinking, none of that enters his body. You actually create a force field of protection around yourself. And Wim Hof training is a big part of that, because what I found out last year after doing it for 2 years was that my body not only acclimated to the cold, it acclimated to the heat. I was in Texas. It was 111 degree weather out, and I was putting metal roofs up. Metal roofs, not just any type of roof. And I should have had heat stroke. I was working 8 to 10 hour days. Yes, was I sweating? Yes. Was I tired? Yes. But I never suffered heat stroke, and I never once felt like I was overly heated. That's the Wim Hof breathing technique and the cold training that did that for me, because I've reawakened our body's natural abilities to control our internal temperature. So it made its adjustments on its own. I didn't have to do anything. Did I use air conditioning? Not a lot. I got to be honest. I did run AC, but not a lot. I'm not a proponent of that, And this year I plan not to run an AC, and I plan not to run a heat, unless it's natural heat, wood burning stove or something like that. We'll see what happens. I'm not trying to, control my future, but I'm going to seek the opportunities to help this body acclimate more to times where we didn't have all these conveniences and luxuries and all these cell phone towers radiating things into our bodies, right? Because back then people lived longer. I really think I gave myself a really good chance to live longer, and Wim Hof methods are a huge part of that. So thank you, Wim Hof. You came into my life through synchronicity. I listened, and I stayed consistent. And now, whenever I go into cold water, I'll feel it for a second, but I'll touch my skin, and my skin's warm, even though I've got cold water pelting me. That would not have happened without my cold training. And what does that mean? That means my body's, moderating its own temperature. There are some videos of monks, right, that practice this, and you'll see them sitting on a block of ice outside. They'll put a cold towel on them, a wet towel, a damp towel, and you'll see steam rising from the towel, because their body's temperatures are at normal, right? Even if the weather outside is whatever, 5, 10, 15 degrees, their bodies are still at 98.6. It's possible. It's possible. How do you think the cavemen lived without clothing and fire prior to them inventing it, right? Or not inventing it, prior to them realizing that they could do that. They survived. And again, they survived longer than we did. So that's what this journey has been about for me with the Wim Hof breathing technique. Taking control of my immune system, giving my immune system its power back that was taken away from us. And it's not about blaming anybody. It wasn't our parents' fault. It wasn't their parents' fault. It's not the government's fault. It's whatever. If there's an agenda, there's an agenda, but there's nobody to blame. But now, if I go back to those ways and to those foods and to those things that were that was keeping me sick and ill and worried and fearful, if I go back to those things, this body will start to deteriorate again, and I won't live longer. And from my perspective, neither will you. So I'm going to continue to do my Wim Hof breathing technique and cold exposure training. Now, I have not done an ice bath, so I'm not sure how I will react to that. I'm sure it'll be like starting all over again, but I'm looking forward to that experience, and I'm going to make sure that I do it. And maybe that'll become my next routine, to push this body even further. Not out of its comfort zone, into its comfort zone, where it should never have been out of to begin with. So I'm going to wear shoes less. I'm going to breathe deeper more. I'm going to breathe through my nose more intentionally. And I'm going to keep putting in organic, fresh foods. No GMOs, no anything else, nothing processed, every now moment. Now you say, well, that's not always available. Well, I'm willing to go out of my way to get to it and pay whatever price, because there is no price too high to keep this vessel, that I call it, properly fueled so it can keep going. So that's my Wim Hof realization after 3 years. It's whole mind, body, soul. It's not just the Wim Hof breathing technique. It's everything else in combination. But when you are in proper balance, this body doesn't need a lot to survive. It really doesn't. So continue on your Wim Hof path. If you just start it, or if you're on it, doesn't have to be every day, but it has to be intentional, and you have to put it into practice. It's not just about doing it once, doing it twice. You have to live it, allow it to become part of your lifestyle, like I have. I do it every day. I don't have to do it early, I don't have to do it late, I can do it whenever. Do it when it feels right for you. Your cold training, all you need is one cold shower a day. You don't have to do it, but whenever, this is how I dress now, every day, shorts and a t-shirt, and sometimes sandals, sometimes shoes, because what I did learn on my Wim Hof journey was that we have extremities that will suffer frostbite, so you have to be mindful of those and keep those covered up properly. The rest of you is just fine. So stay on your quest, stay on your journey like I was. If you need help with this, if you're really serious about it, and you're standing in your convictions that this is the right thing for you to do, but you don't have total balance, right? You're kind of mastering the Wim Hof, but you need help spiritually, mentally, emotionally, creatively, and you're having a lot of issues with that and blocks that are preventing you to have a balanced life. I can certainly help you find your confidence. And it takes a lot of work. So if you're willing to do the work and make the investment in yourself, here's the link to my website. Give me a shout. Let's talk and see how we can help each other. Because again, it has to be mutual, and you have to be all in. So be all in. You are worth it. This body's worth it. Your mind, body, and soul are worthy of your full attention. So pay attention to this vessel. It is the currency of the universe. And if you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, leave a comment. I'd love to know where you are in your Wim Hof journey and what cool realizations you're having for yourself, because we are all on our unique path. So my journey is not yours. I'm hoping this will inspire you to continue on yours, but yours will look different than mine, so just know that. and it's all good. So stay on your path, continue to do your Wim Hof breathing technique, amp up your cold training, your cold exposure training, and watch miracles happen for you as well. And have an amazing day.